Hello and welcome back to your Pennsylvania Dutch Minute. This week, another viewer request. Someone out there wanted to say, hey, I've heard a lot about Pow Wowing, and I heard that it's Pennsylvania Dutch, but I don't really know anything about it. What can you tell me? And I'm going to answer that question, talk a little bit of Pow Wowing, but I have to preface this video by saying that I am by no means an expert on powwowing. I know some stuff about it, mainly from what I've read. I have personally never experienced it. No one in my family used it. So I can't say that I'm an expert by any stretch of the imagination. I'll tell you a little bit, give you a brief overview, and then give you some places that you can go look for more information. A lot of what I've recently learned comes from a good friend of mine who is, in my opinion, the living expert right now on powwowing, and that's Patrick Dunmoyer. Dunmoyer is currently the director of the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center at Kutztown University. He has done extensive research on powwowing throughout history, throughout the Pennsylvania Dutch culture. He knows powwowers. He's learned stuff. He's written books about it. So really, I wish I could Skype him in here and have him do a video because he is the expert. But let me tell you a little bit about what I know about powwowing, and like I said, then you can go find your own information. But powwowing is, well, first off, in Pennsylvania Dutch, it's not called powwowing, it's called brouwerij. Brouwerij. And a person that performs it is a brouwer. Where the term powwow, the English term, comes from, I'm not 100% sure. Again, I'm sure in Patrick's books you can read about that and get that whole history. But essentially, it's a faith healing practice that a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch truly do believe in and have used over the generations. So someone becomes a powwower or a brouwer by learning from another brouwer. Patrick told me that when you learn to become one, or if you train to become one, it's supposed to be done from mouth to ear. You go to the person and, personally, you meet with them, they teach you the ways, and you then apprentice, and then you become a brouwer. And yes, there are still brouwers around. I think a lot of people tend to think that this is an old, outdated mode. No one believes it anymore. Well, that's not true. Yeah, it's probably not utilized and used as much as it was in the 1800s and 1900s and 1700s. However, there are people out there that still use brouwers and that are brouwers. They're out there. So it's not dead by any stretch of the imagination. So as I said, it's a practice of faith healing. So if over the course of history, there have been different things that brouwers can do. I think one of the ones that is a go-to that a lot of people always think about is to remove a wart. And if you have a wart that just won't go away, you could call a brouwer, and there are a couple different things that they could do to help you remove the wart. One of the most famous go-tos is that you cut a potato in half, but you have to do it at a certain time of the month when the moon is in its certain position. You rub the wart with the potato, you say a blessing or a prayer of some kind, and then you bury the potato, and then as the potato rots away, your wart will disappear. That's one. A lot of brouwers would also, back in the day, would write or create house blessings or personal blessings on pieces of paper that they would give you, and then the Pennsylvania Dutch would hide them in your house, in their houses, and seen as a blessing or protection. A lot of people associate powwowing with witchcraft, which I think that's Patrick would have his definition of what witchcraft is, and what how powwowing doesn't necessarily fit that. But because of popular culture, there has been this link to powwowers being witches, which isn't true. And in fact, recently there was a documentary that retold the story of a very famous powwowing incident in York County in the 1930s, I believe. The documentary is called Hex Hollow. I have not seen it. I believe it's out there and available. I don't know if it's on Netflix or maybe purchasable through Amazon. That I don't know. I have not seen it yet. But it tells the story of a famous Braucher in York County, I think by the name of Raymond or Raymond or something like that. And it involved, eventually turned to murder because they thought they had been hexed by this guy. And hex is a word that's in the Pennsylvania Dutch dialect. So a hex is a witch, and hexerai would be like magic or witchcraft. And that somehow also got drug in to this whole powwowing thing. Again, this is a really, really huge subject that goes really deep. And again, I can't touch on everything. I can only give you a brief overview. Probably one of the most famous publications that came out has to be the very first publication ever put out in the United States, and that was in 1853, I believe, by a man by the name of Johann Georg Hohmann, and his book Der lang verbogene Freund, which was the German title, best English translated, the long lost friend, was a booklet of incantations, blessings, ways to cure things, blessings for if your horse wasn't healthy or if you had blood problems. And you can still buy that book. It has been republished and reprinted many times. I know you can find it, I think, even on Amazon, in an English translated version of it. So Holman kind of got it all started in that sense here in the United States, as far as actually putting something out in print. And people would read that, and I think it was probably taken out of context a lot of times, or wasn't done correctly, and people thought all of a sudden they were doing all this witchcraft and crazy magic and old school medieval crazy stuff, when probably they most likely weren't doing it correctly and probably didn't see any results that they were expecting. There have been other publications out there detailing this practice of Braucherei. A really famous one, or a popular book out there, is Pow Wowing Among the Pennsylvania Dutch by David Kriebel. A traditional medicine practice in the modern world. That book is available online. And as mentioned before, Patrick has a brand new book coming out. I think it might actually be out now, on the history of powwowing. That's available. It was the publication of the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center for 2017. You can most likely find that book online and order it and support the center through the purchase of that book, and you'll learn a heck of a lot more than what I can tell you right here. Another website I might turn you on to is, if you search powwowing with Pennsylvania Dutch. Of course, if you just search the word powwow, you'll most likely find Native American references. But if you go to the Glen Cairn Museum's website, that's GlenCairn museum.org. They had a huge exhibition that ran for a lot of 2017 that was put together by Patrick Dunmoyer, called Pow Wowing in Pennsylvania, Healing Rituals of the Pennsylvania Dutch. I highly recommend. The exhibition just closed in October of 2017. However, they have a lot of information on their website that talks about the history of powwowing, and also what the exhibition had. But it's a really great overview of powwowing. If you don't have any of the books, that's available online. It's truly a topic that is very intriguing to a lot of people, both Pennsylvania Dutch and non-Pennsylvania Dutch. I think a lot of people outside of the culture see it as these like old traditional superstistic beliefs that we, the old school Pennsylvania Dutch, have. And but like I said, not every Pennsylvania Dutch family used it. I know growing up, no one in my family ever talked about powwowing. In fact, it was truly a foreign concept for me until just a couple years ago, when I really started doing more reading and so forth. And then I came across more and more references to it, and I've had multiple conversations with Patrick, face to face about it, and he truly is awesome at being able to tell the story of powwowing and its cultural aspects and what it means to people. So if you ever get the chance, I know he gives talks from time to time. If you ever get a chance to see him give a talk on this topic, please go. You will truly be impressed with what he has done, what he has researched, all that he has found out, and his take on everything. It's really, really interesting. But you can go out there, just be careful if you research it, because there's a lot of stuff online. Some of it's good, some of it is not good. Please be careful what you're researching. But I would highly recommend getting one of those books if you're truly interested, either the Crable book, or of course I would recommend the Dunmoyer book that's coming out or is out now, to really learn a lot more, because both those books go really in depth. And if you're really curious, then go out there and try and find a copy of the Der lang verborgene Freund, the long lost friend, because I said that they are out there. It was a great topic. Sorry I can't go more in depth. I'll go more in depth on topics that I feel a little bit more comfortable about, that I know more about, but it was good to at least give you a blanket overview of powwowing and give you some resources that you can go learn more about this topic on your own. So, thanks for the question. If you have an idea for a future video, please email me. My email address is at the end of the video. And subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. Share with your friends. Spread the PA Dutch love. Keep practicing your Pennsylvania Dutch. And Max Good.